Asobo Studios says the PlayStation 5 is the lead platform for its sequel, A Plague's Tale: Requiem. Asobo Studios says that they developed A Plague's Tale: Requiem on PlayStation 5 to set themselves completely free from last-gen constraints and make the most out of the features brought by the new gen. The potential it offers is incredible. Take the load times, for instance. It is reduced in a way that makes new map and level design possible. With an increased memory on top, we get better draw distance, which means you'll be able to see way further. Horizons will literally expand. The result is a much more open environment than introduced in the first game. This article comes from the PlayStation blog, and I will link it in the description below so you can read it. Unleashing the rats. Quote, rats are a key feature of A Plague's Tale, and for the second game, we wanted to push new gen possibilities to the max to bring the rats-induced horror and trauma to a new level. The number of rats on screen has been multiplied by 60, growing from 5,000 to 300,000 thanks to the power of the PlayStation 5. It is a good number to convey the vision of the apocalypse, which keeps increasingly oppressing our heroes. We've also changed the aspect of their movement so that they look like a giant wave, much like a tsunami crashing down on you, shedding a new light on an overcast world. Thanks to the power of the new GPU in the PlayStation 5, the quality of lighting can be drastically improved. With a wide array of technical tools and reduced constraints, we can accentuate the role of light, and new situations which involve light can be introduced. Hugo and Amicia will discover new sensations as they travel south, and so will the players. Thanks to this new level of detail, they'll experience an atmosphere enriched with beams of light and enhanced lighting over atmospheric elements such as volumetric fog. A new gen feast for the eyes. Requiem's tech doesn't only take players to a setting with a more vivid atmosphere, but it will also bring more depth to the visual simulation in general. This includes increased geometric quality. Technically, there are more polygons over the mesh. The resolution of textures is also improved. A good example of how these advancements affect in-game experience is the high level of detail with terrain will be rendered. For instance, we heavily rely on parallax occlusion mapping to add tiny volumetric details over terrain and props. There will also be more physical and dynamic objects, which will affect how clothing is rendered. Now let's talk about the PlayStation 5 specific features of this game. 3D space. On top of all the magic, the spatial experience will be enhanced thanks to 3D audio. That means you'll be able to perceive where the character who is speaking is located behind or in front of you, above or below. Players will be completely surrounded by the game and engaged in a much more realistic and immersive way. The PlayStation 5's new controller, the DualSense, has also been one of our central points of focus. It brings exceptional immersive tech through haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. One of the most groundbreaking innovations brought by the DualSense controller are haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. Asobo Studios says that they've started thinking about their implementation while working on the next-gen adaptation of Innocence, which gave them the idea of the most relevant choices for the new game. If a weapon requires more pressure, for instance, adaptive triggers will adjust the sensation of effort given to the player. Concerning the sling, if you hold the button too long, you'll lose precision. Adaptive triggers will give the impression that shooting becomes harder, which also works for the player as a marker to measure the right time to shoot. The audio is also fully reworked with haptic feedback. Swarms of rats can be subtly felt through the pad through stereo vibrations. It's as if you could actually touch sound, says Asobo Studios. That's also the case with explosions and real-time cinematics. They'll affect you physically thanks to the range of sensory input offered by the DualSense controller. The opportunities it presents brings a whole new dimension to the gameplay. You'll be able to feel movements around you, such as where the rats are coming from. The game will offer richer situations thanks to a heightened perception of the environment, which will also include not only direct interaction, but also semi-distant elements. So far, all of these features that I'm talking about are platform specific to the PlayStation 5. They're going to add to the experience, and it will be the definitive way to play this game. We're not done with taking advantage of the PlayStation 5 specific features. The DualSense speaker is also being used. They say, quote, another innovation brought by the DualSense is its built-in speaker. We use it to play the sound of weapons when no headset is used, giving audio feedback to the player when using the sling and the crossbow. It delivers a far more dynamic experience with the possibility to hear an arrow or a stone in the air. It's a third speaker given to the player, which allows for subtle feedback to be delivered on top of the rest of the soundtrack, acting independently of the music and ambient sound. Another tool being used exclusively for the PlayStation 5 experience with this game. The developer says that this game was built with the PlayStation 5 feature set in mind, not just the tech, not just resolution and frame rate, but for the best overall experience, the experience that pulls you in and immerses you like no other will be on the PlayStation 5, utilizing all of its platform-specific features. It is the lead platform for this game, and it feels like the developer really wants people to experience this game with the DualSense controller and the PlayStation 5. Whenever all of these features are used in the game, I can't wait to experience them. Let me know what you think about this game and the features that I talked about in this video. Are you picking it up on the PlayStation 5? Thanks for watching the video. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.